Crypto is on the rise, making that dough in the crypto paradigm. Watching it go, buying low, selling high. Riding the wave, I'm here to stay, living in the digital age. No banks, no fees, just decentralized. It's crypto paradise. Ooh. No banks, no fees.
Alrighty, let's kick this thing off. Good morning from Paradise Surfers. My name is Crypto Amaru, joined as always by Nick the Crypto Hitman, and it is Wednesday, January 28th. It is Fed Day. Powell's coming out. Is he going to cut rates? Is he going to crush the market? Or perhaps we are going to see a market pump because of the theory that we will get into on today's show. Stocks are looking great. Gold, metals, we all know how well they've been doing. When is crypto finally going to pump? And we have big news to share with you guys today as well. We are partnering with one of the most successful launch pads in all of crypto called Pools Finance. We will get into the details of that strategic partnership towards the end of that show and explain to you why we think Pools is going to be a leader in the upcoming bull run. Alrighty, we got Powell talking here. It's going to be 2:30 Eastern time, I believe, is when he comes out for his press conference. What are you expecting out of Powell's presser? And do you think there's a chance that even without the rate cut, we continue to see the market rip and roar?
Did he talk at all yesterday?
No.
They're supposed to be. They didn't do any talking yesterday. Interesting. I mean, we'll see what happens. I've been on the side of a rate cut due to some of the data points that we're seeing, and just kind of the trend is your friend with what the Fed has been doing. The markets have not been looking for the Fed to cut rates at any point of the last three cuts, and again, they have not been looking for a cut this time around either. Now, the difference here is Poly market still has it as a 99% chance of no change. In previous interest rate cuts, although they were in the 90% chance of no change, by the day of or the day before, that started to teeter back in favor of an interest rate cut as more information started leaking out. That has not happened this time. But I'm just going to stick with it. Another 0.25% interest rate cut, seeing inflation fall off an absolute cliff. GDP strong, things are going in the right direction for interest rate cuts. Also, they just ended QT back in November, and QE really hasn't even started yet. So I know that there's headwinds. I know that there's outs and scapegoats for Powell not to cut rates and just do a no change and be safe about it. If that's the case, we have to wait until March. Now, your second question is, will the stocks market and other markets continue to rip and roar even if there is no interest rate cut? Well, the market says there's not going to be an interest rate cut, and what do you know? S&P 500 at a new all-time high right now as we speak. The NASDAQ is hitting that overhead resistance we've been talking about. We'll share that chart as well. Gold higher, silver $114 or something like that, and we did see Bitcoin finally get it back above $90,000 last night, and Ethereum back above $3,000. So it seems that the markets don't care that there's a 99% chance of no interest rate cuts.
I think we are in for a bullish no cut today. The reason is because I think the market has actually been scared by Trump's sort of attempts, you could say, to influence the decisions of the Fed. They haven't liked it. They have not liked his interventions. They didn't like when he went after that Fed governor for, alleged mortgage fraud. They haven't liked when he's attacked Powell. The market likes that the Fed is quote unquote independent. And so if they do not cut, this is sort of a reassertion of the Fed's independence. We aren't going to be bullied by big old scary Donald Trump. And the market is going to react favorably, even though they are not going to cut. That's my theory. That's actually my expectation. We're seeing that in the market now. 99% chance of no cut, and yet the market is going up. And so to me, this shows that the market wants the Fed to reassert its independence. I mean, to me, they're political anyway, and so it's a little bit of a silly thing. But the market is the market. Don't fight the market. This is what the market wants to do and wants the Fed to do. So I think it's a bullish no cut today, and we're going to see the market continue to pump.
Shout out to Rima. saying, yo, guys, what's up? AJ West in the house. Haven't seen that name in here in quite a while. Nice that you're in the chat box over on YouTube live show. And then we got Louie 8, Miko Chapo. I feel like you get a new name every day, Miko Chapo. I don't know what's going on. Maybe I'm tripping, but I feel like you get a new name. But at least you tell us. That's the biggest thing. When I first got into YouTube and publicly facing like 2017 for crypto, it's like people were like, oh, we talked about this. It's like they had a different name for Twitter, a different name for YouTube live shows I was doing at Learn Crypto, and a different name for the private Discord we're in. It's like, if you have 3 different names, how am I supposed to keep up with that? And then you use your real name on Patreon, which is like the payment funnel. It's like 4 names. I can't keep up with that when we got 100 members, 200 members, 1,000 members. That's crazy. But shout out to you for always at least telling us what's going on there. And this was just a quick article I found that goes over what we just hammered in detail. U.S. stocks set to open at record high on blowout tech earnings ahead of the Fed, the Mag 7 leading the way. That's exactly what happened. S&P 500 is slowing down here at the open, but it did go to new all-time highs, drawing NASDAQ to previous highs. And, you're seeing AMD in the green, NVIDIA in the green, and other AI small caps rising as well, along with AT&T and others that are kind of the largest of the large, but are having some data center ties, having some AI ties, and having some tech ties. So it's interesting to see that in the face of uncertainty with the Fed, in the face of uncertainty with Greenland, more tariff FUD, is the Supreme Court going to rule against the tariffs? Are we going to have a government shutdown in 3 days? The stock market went to new all-time highs. Gold and silver went to new highs yesterday, giving up some of the gains today. Bitcoin back above 90. Ethereum back above 3,000. Very interesting to say the least when there's a 99% chance, like we said, of no cut.
We told you guys not to fade the AI trade. Remember when there were fears of an AI bubble like 2 months ago and the stock market had been at all-time highs? There was like a little sell-off. AI bubble's imploding. NVIDIA is a bad company now. It's going to zero. They're just doing circular financings. There's some truth to that. Guys, the AI trade is just ramping up. We haven't even seen the full effects of AI as it's going to integrate with the economy further and further over the next 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 years from now. The amount of money that's pouring into this industry is tremendous. You can't even wrap your head around it. The AI trade is not going anywhere. The AI companies are going to be outperformers, I think, over the next decade. To the bears out there, you are going to regret having sold all the fears, the mainstream media telling you, oh, it's a bubble. It may get to a bubble point, by the way, and we'll be the first to call it, but the chart's not looking bubbly. The fundamentals are not looking bubbly. We're just seeing AI continue to make its way into the economy further and further. So be fearful for your jobs, surely, but don't be fearful for the markets, and don't be fearful for NVIDIA blowing up and being a quote bubble.
Yeah, and I think, for the AI thing, learn about AI in your spare time. Go talk to AI, see what's going on there. Watch some YouTube videos, see if there's any ways you can use it at your job, for your company. Maybe you can do some AI stuff in the future if you end up losing your job. I mean, AI is a powerful tool when it comes to a lot of things. It's helping with social media marketing for us to build out this brand and give us ideas on how we can keep building out even though the market's shit. I utilized AI. So my buddy just moved a roofing company from Florida up to St. Louis, and he said, hey, I need some help. Do you want to be, VP of sales, kind of be a sales manager? So I utilized AI to go from never being on a roof, don't know anything about a roof, to within the past month, learning about roofing through AI, and I sold 6 roofs. So AI can give you 5 years, a decade, 15 years of knowledge in any industry within a very finite amount of time if you know how to prompt it and know how to utilize it. So like I said, never been on a roof. I'm kind of afraid of heights. I don't know anything about roofing systems. Dove into AI, dove into YouTube, sold 6 roofs in the past month. So utilize AI. It's a scary thing, but it is going to be a part of your life, whether you like it or not, kind of like the early days of internet. So are you going to be early to utilizing internet, being early to having a computer in your house, being early to figuring out online gaming, or are you going to be the lagger and just fall behind in every sector? This time around, AI is directly impacting your finances versus your play. So I would just utilize it, learn about it, and maybe you don't ever have to use it, but if at least you understand, you have ChatGPT downloaded, you have Gronk, because you pay for Twitter Premium, whatever, you'll be prepared for whatever life throws at your way.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to learn AI. You have to understand AI to the extent you can and utilize in your day-to-day life. You also have to be invested in it, because on the off chance it does take everybody's jobs, and those companies just like suck up all the money because they're making all the money with their robots and their AI and everything. And it's like the doom and gloom. People were right. Well, at least you have some stock ownership of these companies that are going to go, many multiples higher. So maybe you won't be as screwed. That's a bit of a cynic's silly take I'll provide for you. But no, seriously, be invested in AI. It's not going anywhere. What are we seeing on the chart today?
Yeah, you can see our buybacks here on Bitcoin. We still have 33% to buy back. Kind of want to buy back probably in the zone somewhere around here. We sold at $118,700 before the sell-off, so we don't really care about the short term. Oh, you're down on this one, but up on this one. We sold at 118. I mean, we're way in the big. Now, the downside is we had this bullish momentum trade here. It started to break out, but then it failed. We know with the Greenland FUD, the Terra FUD, whatever. Now, I will say, hey, we got above 90,000, but this could be a rejection at the uptrend line here. So I'd love for Bitcoin to catch itself on the Fed news, get back above the 90 to 91,000, and then you avoid this bullish rejection here. So I'm not saying I'm in a bull camp or anything like that. We do have higher lows once again. We had positive price action, even in the face of a no cut today from the Fed being the likely outcome. So I like what I see from Bitcoin, but I really love to regain these moving averages and regain this uptrend line, which would put you about 91,000, maybe 90,500. Ethereum is acting a little stronger here, still holding above $3,000 after selling off to $2,800 yesterday. So a big rally. It's coming into the moving averages again, which are at $3,100, and then maybe we can complete this consolidation and continue to march higher. Again, this is all just global macros. That's what's crazy. This is all global macros. This is gold surging, silver surging, Greenland, tariffs from Europe. Oh my God, we're all dying. Somebody died at a protest because they brought a gun. Holy cow. And we're trying to find itself back in this consolidation range and hopefully it can continue higher. S&P new all-time highs, NASDAQ new all-time highs, everything at new all-time highs. Ethereum $3,000. Still hasn't hit new all-time highs since 2021, Crypto Amaru. What's your thoughts?
Patience. It's all going to work out, guys. But, yeah, you're bringing up some good points around the FUD that's happened. Look, don't sell into the fear, as we know. I go back to probabilities, and everything is ripping and roaring except crypto. What are the chances it nukes another 30, 40% because the 4-year halving is still a thing? The 4-year cycle still a thing, or what's the, is it a greater chance that Bitcoin eventually is brought up along with the rest of the market? A lot of this has to do with the devaluation of the dollar. So, as wonderful as it is that our stock portfolio is all-time highs, if you're in precious metal, all-time highs, gold, crypto, hopefully follows suit soon. Does it really feel as good as it could, knowing that the dollar buys so much less, and therefore your investments, even though they're higher dollar value-wise, if you go to sell them and try to buy like maybe a house, for example, that house has also gone up a lot. So, a lot of this does have to do with devaluation of the dollar. That is going to eventually show up in risk assets. So anyway, I'm hodling on here, not worried at all, feeling very positive. Perhaps we can show that story around the dollar devaluation, which is a major story.
This one here from the Kobayashi letter, a weaker U.S. dollar helps drive, number one, looser financial conditions, rate cuts. We've seen 3 of those, but we still have a long way to go. There should probably be another, 3 to 4 rate cuts. We haven't even had a 0.5% rate cut yet, a jumbo cut as they would call it, only 0.25% or no cuts. Number 2, higher nominal GDP growth. We've seen beating expectations of the GDP the last quarter that they just announced, a couple weeks ago. Number 3, higher asset prices. Well, S&P 500 hit 7,000 today. The NASDAQ trying to break out of a pork blaster, high-level consolidation that would lead it much higher. You have gold hitting 5,000 before Ethereum did, and you had silver breaking above $100, a major milestone for these silver bugs. So that's happening. My Pokemon cards, I had to sell some because they went up so much in value. Number 4, higher U.S. exports and lower trade deficit. We have the lowest trade deficit since 2009 right now, even with, the first year being pretty tumultuous for Trump. He is getting stuff done. So that is a check mark. And number 5, easier debt servicing from the U.S. government. This is why Trump said the dollar is doing great in quotations.
The only negative to the dollar's devaluation, as far as I can see it, is that I can't buy as many tacos or margaritas on the beach when I go down to Mexico.
That's true.
That's the only thing. So, when I visit the Paradise Pad down in Tulum, our very own condo, by the way, you guys can get free vacations there. So hit us up if you want a free vacation on Crypto Paradise. But when I go down there, and by the way, the Mexican peso's been doing great, so that's also annoying. So outside of that, though, and I'm just being facetious and silly, a weaker dollar is good for all the reasons that he stated. Now, I don't think a weaker dollar has translated yet into higher risk asset prices yet. The assets have gone up, gold, silver, Mag 7. These are like the least risky on the risk curve, you know. So we haven't really seen it translate into higher risk asset prices, as you guys obviously know. But that is going to come. That is going to come. Everything Trump is trying to do and is setting out to do, lower rates, juicing the economy, lower dollar, etc., it's happening. It's happening in slow motion, and you have to kind of wait and be patient for all of it to play out. But yeah, look, outside of my tacos and my margaritas being more expensive, I'm very happy for the devaluation of the dollar.
What do we got here? The art of patience in investing. Now, when the market is good, we bring you the alpha, the gems, the everything else. When the market is kind of sideways to lower, Crypto Armor was a big proponent of telling you, oh, get a 10-year time horizon. And I always say, boring. Nobody wants to hear that. You're not going to like, share, and subscribe for a 10-year time horizon, but maybe that is the key after all. The art of patience in investing. Top 10 days are 55% to 60% of your total gains. Top 20 days are 75% to 85% of your returns. And the top 30 days out of a 365-day year is 90% of your returns. Another statistic, if you miss the top 20 days, your returns will not beat inflation. Maybe now under Trump since inflation is back down below 2%, but definitely not under Biden when you had 20% inflation. If you miss the top 30 days of your returns, you turn negative. Negative returns if you take out your top 30 days out of 365. This is the power of holding and waiting, having conviction, having good research, and getting into the right assets. Sometimes nothing happens for years, and then all of a sudden it pulls the move you have been waiting for.
Boring, I guess, but also correct. A correct take. If you want to make money in the markets, you have to have a long-term time horizon. I did not know about this granular data. I knew about the top 10 days. You have to be in the market in the top 10 days. That's where a majority of your returns will come. That's kind of a well-known thing. But he broke it down even further. And it seems like it's really 90 days. If you have, so which shows me that like you just have to be in the market for years, just hodling. The caveat to all that is this is not going to apply to every single asset. This is not going to apply to every single altcoin. Even some of the really good ones that you could argue, like Link. I mean, how much traction has Link gotten over the years? For price performance, terrible. Bitcoin. I would argue Ethereum, even though that's a bit questionable. Over 5 years, we haven't seen it hasn't done great over a 5-year period. Certainly Bitcoin, S&P 500, gold, whatever, silver. This all applies. But don't get it twisted. Your random shitcoin, some of them will go to zero. You guys know this, but it's worth reiterating. You have to have shorter time horizons on the shitcoins. But yeah, man, you got to be in these markets. You got to be holding over the long term. That's the only way to make really good money over time.
I mean, one of the biggest things when we first got into this, 2016 for me, 2017 for you, was the vision and idea that there is a new digital gold in Bitcoin, that there is a new financial system in crypto assets, and that you could even utilize crypto to pay for goods, really rendering fiat shitcoins irrelevant. And we are seeing some adoption on that curve. Now, I know a lot of people are like, don't spend your crypto, you need to hold your crypto, it's an investment. But the more utility for these given crypto assets, the price should follow. And we go here to the PayPal conversation. Crypto payments are going mainstream. We do know there's adoption from Square. How do I know that? I own a pet store. We have Square and we accept Bitcoin. It's really a one-click functionality. There's some fees associated with it, and you got to connect a Coinbase wallet to it. And any money that you earn in that Bitcoin gets taxed and then sent over to Coinbase. So that is happening. That is a pretty easy function. But are people actually using it? We don't really get many Bitcoin payments in the pet store. We're in a local neighborhood pet store, not really the space for it. But it is nice that you do have that functionality, and apparently people are using it because now 4 in 10 merchants already accept crypto. The first thing to utilization of these assets is the acceptance of the assets. And now 40% of merchants are having the accept crypto functionality enabled on their systems. About 75% say crypto sales increased last year. Now notice they're not giving you data because they might have done $0 before. Now they're doing $100. But again, it's the access, it's the understanding, and if you get 100% growth year over year, eventually it gets to big numbers. A PayPal survey shows large companies are driving adoption. 50% of the companies earning $500 million plus in revenue already accept crypto. Because why wouldn't they? If they're this big of a company, they pay somebody a six-figure salary, you send them an email and say, hey, figure out how we can accept Bitcoin. Takes that guy less than a week to get all their systems set up, and now they have another outlet to accept revenue to their business if somebody wants to pay with it.
I love to see these stories around the real-world adoption of crypto. I know it doesn't show up in the price immediately. I know it's a slow-moving process. We've been talking about it since 2017, as Nick alluded to. But over time, this is exactly what we need for mainstream acceptance of crypto and usage of crypto. Now, all that being said, I still do not believe you should spend your Bitcoin on a coffee. Bitcoin is digital gold. Hold it. It's a store of value. It's designed to go up over time, and that's what it does, so don't spend it. That being said, there is this wonderful asset within crypto called stablecoins. I think you guys have probably heard of them. One of the best use cases of blockchain technology are these stablecoins, right? Especially if you come from an emerging market. Your own fiat is dog shit because there's massive inflation over year. At least you can hold some money and do transactions in stablecoins, which are tethered to the dollar. Still kind of a shitty fiat. It's still fiat, but less inflation than your, lira if you're in Turkey or whatever. I think you're going to continue to see more people use stablecoins for day-to-day transactions as we realize that it's cheaper for the merchant and it's cheaper for you. You understand how much the merchants get charged per swipe with a credit card? It's like 2% or something enormous, right?
Some of them
and
are
they
like
pass it on you.
3.5% is the max that we see at the pet store, for example. So it's like bags of dog food, there's a very small profit margin, maybe 10%. So if somebody comes in and buys it with a credit card, now you're at 6.5% profit margin on an item. That's why when you go to local businesses, the big dog food is how you get people in the door, but you make the profits on the toys or the homemade treats or whatever. But yeah, 3.5% being passed on to the business or being passed on to the buyer. Some companies pass it on to the buyer. We choose not to do that, whatever it is. But like say you're paying a lease, you're a tenant, you're a renter. Usually if you want to pay credit card, you incur that fee, which turns your $1,000 rent into $1,035 a month. And you're like, it's $35, but that adds up quite a bit over time. And now you have a credit card payment that also has 29% interest on it. So, I mean, they just continue to pile on that money there.
Yeah, so the merchant has every incentive in the world to avoid those fees. And the user should too, the end user, because look, go down to the corner store. I know you don't see the fee show up when you go, they're not going to pass that fee on to you when I go to my favorite store, Costco. Massive big box retailer, right? But the local corner store, if I go down to buy, and they're like, if you swipe the credit card, it's an extra, you should get extra 5% or whatever. So pay cash or pay debit card or whatever. And that's not because they want to F you over, really. It's just because they're getting charged the fee and they're running small margins, like you said. So it passed on to the customer. We need to get to a point where you go to your phone, open your wallet real quick, QR code, boom, boom, no fees, stable coins. Not Bitcoin, stable coins, and you're avoiding all those fees. So it's a win-win. I think because of that financial incentive, you're going to continue to see adoption over time, but it's going to be slow. It's going to be slow. Like people in our parents' generation's never going to do that. It's like our generation and younger, millennials and younger, are much more likely to set up a wallet, figure out a QR code, boom, boom. And here we go, crypto adoption. So will it translate into price performance? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe over time. But it's just good to see more mainstream acceptance and usage of crypto in everyday life.
Yeah, like you said, with it being stable coins, it isn't direct price performance. But if people have stable coins, I mean, they have easy access to onboarding into other crypto investments. So they can get caught up in the FOMO, the hype, and the euphoria cycles. That's not what we've seen lately, and we haven't had green candles. But just remember, there's a lot of retail out there who has random stable coins, random shit coins in their wallets. One thing is get green, that spurs FOMO. And if you have more people on the rails in blockchain utilizing stable coins, when they hear about their friend making a 2x or something, they're like, I have $300 sitting on my Apple wallet in USDT. Maybe I should just FOMO that into buying whatever altcoin. So that's kind of how I see it. First of all, it's good for crypto acceptance, the understanding of blockchain technology. But B, if they have stablecoins on their app that they use and there's green candles, they can easily FOMO at home on their couch. If they're willing to line up around the jewelry store to buy silver, You don't think they're going to take the 300 in stable coin and just hit the buy button? That's a lot easier.
Yeah, no, it's all positive long term for price appreciation. We got a great comment here from Frank. What's up, buddy? Good to see you. One of our Chads in the Kai community. We're early in crypto, but we've seen a lot of growth in the industry in the last year, even though prices have been lagging. Sentiment, well, I would say, sentiment's pretty bearish too, but adoption is bullish. Adoption is super bullish. I agree with you. Haven't seen it yet in the price. It will show up later. But you know what's gonna be funny too, right? Like, guarantee this is gonna happen. So price is gonna reverse at some point. I don't know when the bull market's gonna restart, but it's gonna happen at some point. Prices will start pumping again. We're making money. Sentiment's positive. Greed is back. And all of a sudden, you're going to start to hear people talk about crypto now going to be changing the world again. Wow, did you know it does this, that, the other thing? Payments. Did you realize that we can avoid visa fees? Did you realize that it's going to change this, that, the other industry? When price is down, no one talks about the adoption because you're just pissed off about the price. Crypto sucks. Blockchain sucks. It's all fugazi. Price go up. Oh my God, it's changing the world. Oh my God, it's going to revolutionize this, that, the other thing. So just watch that happen every other cycle. I don't know what narrative will take off. Last time was gaming, AI. I don't know what's going to take off, and we're going to say that crypto is going to change the world forever. But I guarantee that's going to happen because whenever there's green candles, that's exactly what happens.
We got Moonmut in the building saying good morning, everyone. Also, we have another comment from Frank up higher. It said, make it or break it this week, ? We could see a turnaround. We are primed. Yeah, we talked about that with our analysis of Bitcoin and Ethereum. They're kind of at very big mental barrier for Ethereum. 3,000 is very important. We are slightly below that. Bitcoin, we want to see regain the moving averages and the uptrend line, which is like 90,500 or 91,000. Otherwise, you have the chance of a rejection at resistance, which means lower to go. But we are still holding higher lows. So yeah, big week here, big day here with the poly market saying there's a 99% chance of the Fed not cutting rates. Let's see how the markets react. Right now, stocks look good. Gold and silver holding highs, and Bitcoin and ETH did get back above those big milestones last night, giving up some of the gains today. Now, talking about Bitcoin and silver, I found a pretty interesting post about the history of Bitcoin and silver. It doesn't talk about when they peaked, but it talks about Bitcoin/silver historically bottoms 13 months after its peak with a 75 to 85% dump. We're now in month 12 with a 78% crash. This is pretty interesting because this is Bitcoin's performance versus silver, and you can see that it outperformed it all of 2016, 2017. It started underperforming in 2018, 2019, the bear market. Outperformed it even during the early stages of the bull from 2019 all the way to the end of COVID. Underperformed it for about a year after the FTX collapse and everything else, and then has been outperforming it ever since that low back in 2022. But look at this, falling off a cliff as silver has surged out of its range of $20 to $40 up to $112. Bitcoin has floundered from $126 back down to as low as $80,000. What do you make of this? I know you're not a big, time this, time that. And this isn't really a timing of when the bottom is for Bitcoin and silver. It's more price performance against silver. And this time was 13 months. This time was 13 months. And right now we are at 12 months or over 12 months now for Bitcoin to silver ratio. And if you're just looking at ratios, Bitcoin looks like the very undervalued asset. Never in history has it just falling off a cliff this steep. And now it's lasted for 12 months here since the previous high. I think Bitcoin is the play here. And even more so, I think Ethereum outperforms Bitcoin, so Ethereum is the play.
Yeah, impossible to disagree with you there. We are bullish on crypto assets. Obviously, they have their moment in the sun, just like every asset has its moment in the sun. Our moment hasn't come yet. It will come. For anyone who's curious as to what is going to happen with silver over the next, 3, 6, 12 months, study the Hunt brothers in the early 90s. Wealthy guys. They had the brilliant idea of trying to trigger their own silver bull run, essentially by buying up a bunch of silver, causing the price to go up, causing average everyday retail to FOMO in. Sound a lot like your meme coin scams, doesn't it? And it worked for a little bit. I think they poured about $1 billion into this scheme, right? This plan. I want to call it a scheme because it wasn't fraudulent per se. It was just dumb. So silver market starts to run, okay? Starts to outperform and do really, really well. What happens next? Well, the silver producers, the people that can mine the silver and the existing holders, were like, oh shit, What a great opportunity to sell into the pump, as it were. And so that's exactly what they did. They just mined a whole bunch of extra silver. Oh my God, supply went up. Existing holders dumping. And the Hunt brothers lost $1 billion. So, if you think that's not going to happen again, ask yourself, why wouldn't that happen again? They're going to just make more silver. They're just going to find more silver in the ground, guys. The supply is going to go up. Existing holders will sell. There will be a correction. Now, I don't know if a ton of money is going to then flow into Bitcoin and crypto, that we can have that discussion. But this silver run is going to end the same way it ended for the Hunt brothers, who lost $1 billion.
Yeah, we can see that silver has had steep tops similar to Bitcoin, just on very smaller volatility scales. Because remember, silver kind of floated between $20 and $40 for many years here, and that's a 2x. So it kind of went up to 40, came to 30, went up to 40, came to 25, and then it finally broke out, and it is where it is today. I wonder if that big shorter of silver, who shorted $35 million of silver, has the liquidation price at 135, is getting nervous today as silver price is at $112. So he is $23 away from a $35 million liquidation. And here's kind of the price performance I was talking about. Here's the 5-year chart. This is why patience pays off, all the way back to February of 2021 and really before that, because I was buying silver, let me think, probably 2016, 2017, 2018. I was getting collectible silver ounces for $20, $18, $19. And here you are at $25 in 2021, $19 in 2022, $23 in 2024, $28 even in 2025. And it wasn't until the liquidity crisis, almost the exact timing, 10-10 in crypto, October, the surge started as silver broke out of the 30s into the 40s and quickly to $113 over the past 6 months.
This is a good reminder that, first of all, be patient. Second of all, look, this could well be a proxy for the Ethereum chart in like 5 years from now, 3 years, 2 years. I don't know. We've had a long ass consolidation. 5 years. This has been ETH has essentially been consolidating for 5 years, right? We could easily see it teleport up to 12, 15 grand, 5x, whatever from here over the next couple of years. It can happen. I don't know if it will happen, but I think it might. Just a reminder to be patient. Anything can happen, guys. And don't think that the FOMO can't come back to crypto. Well, retail will FOMO anything that's going up, so they'll come back to crypto when it's pumping.
The thing is, it doesn't even have to be 5 years, 1 year, 3 years. This is silver. Now, the second largest asset on the entire planet, worth $5 or $6 trillion by itself. Okay? June of 2025, it was $30 an ounce. In
6 months.
7 months.
Yeah.
It went from 30 an ounce to 112 with a high of like 118, 120 an ounce. The second largest asset in the world. So if you don't think that Ethereum can make a move, even if we say, hey, our 5-year cycle ends up being right, the bullish macros play out, maybe the top is in Q2, Q3, or even November of this year, in 6 months, the second largest asset in the entire planet, that is currently 10, 15, 18x larger than Ethereum, made a 4x in 6 months. You don't think Ethereum can do a 4x? That's 12,000. Ethereum is way smaller than silver. Maybe it does a 5x or a 6x. Now you're looking towards the $18,000, $16,000, $22,000 price targets that are possible if Bitcoin simply went to a 2x over its previous high.
Well stated, well stated. For those who have been patiently waiting for that moment, I think our time is nearly upon us. Eventually, ETH is going to start to outperform. Retail will come back. There will be FOMO. There will be supply shock. There may be a correction after that. I'm sure there will be, like there always is when you see a crazy run up. But man, 5-year consolidation on ETH, kind of hard to wrap your head around. Hopefully, we're about to break up out of that.
We got some good chats here from Frank and from Rima as well. If you want to pull those up, we can talk about those briefly. Then I'll pull up a pulse chain thing, and then we'll go to our last news item that we wanted to touch here. Big news for Crypto Paradise, for Pulse Chain, and for Surf token holders when this market turns around. Frank says, never bet against the Fed, but imagine if they come out with rate cuts. Saw numbers on Truflation is at 1.9% inflation. Don't know if those numbers are correct. Truflation numbers have historically been correct. Obviously, the Fed doesn't see that data, or it's usually on a 45-day lag. But, yeah, that would be wild. That's kind of the reasons I've just said, hey, I'm just going to stick with the Fed cutting. I think they should cut rates. They've only cut it 0.75%. But there is a lot of headwinds that Crypto Amaru that has talked about, and outlets for the Fed to say, hey, we're just going to play it safe. No change, but hey, we'll reevaluate in March. We'll reevaluate in April, and you'll get a new Fed chair in May, and then we'll get the cuts later this year anyways.
Yeah, I don't think we get a cut today, but expect the unexpected in terms of market reaction, right? I guess the traditional view would suggest that no cut equals market dump, whatever. Oh, we didn't get the cut, risk assets suffer, blah, blah, blah. But the contrarian take, and I think perhaps the correct one, is that the market is going to be encouraged by the Fed reasserting its, quote, independence and its, non-political stance. So we may get a pump despite the lack of a cut. And we're seeing that, look, in the market right now. 99% chance of no cut. Market's been doing great the past couple days. So, and then I'll add too to that. In crypto, everything is highly manipulated right now with the market makers and the leverage traders, etc. So, low IQ guy might be like, no cut, gonna open a short. The exchanges see a bunch of shorts pile in and they're like, okay, wreck them, boom, pump. So let's see what happens, guys. Expect the unexpected. I don't know if today is like a make or break day in terms of like, something major happens today, like the bull run's done, or there's no chance of a bull run, or we're going into the four-year bear market, whatever.
I guess if they raised rates, that would be pretty devastating. That'd be crazy.
No, yeah,
I don't think it's possible, but that would be crazy.
No,
the other thing to remember is if they do a no change, what does Powell say? Is he hawkish or dovish? If he does a no change but says, hey, we see that inflation is coming down, we see this, we see that, we understand it, but we know there's a chance to cut again in March and another chance in April, so we're just going to play it safe. Well, that's a very different tone, and I think that's how you got to get the positive market reaction, is even if there's no change, 99% chance there is no change, are they hawkish or dovish when they're talking?
Oh, that's a great point. Yeah, I mean, the market reaction always comes down to his statements and how he answers the questions in the press conference. The cut itself, or lack thereof, is almost already priced in because everyone's predicted it, everyone's kind of read the tea leaves on that, and it's priced in. So it comes down to what he says. So if he comes down and it's a very dovish press conference, and he's basically like, well, the data this time led us to the conclusion that we could take a pause and just continue to see how the data plays out, but we are continuing to look forward to more cuts throughout this year. We foresee, inflation going lower. We foresee our Fed's fund rate ending up at 2.5% by the end of 2025. The dot plots changed, so to speak. That's super dovish. Oh my God, yay! Lower cuts are coming. They see lower inflation. Risk assets going to run. Conversely, if he comes out, oh, inflation's still a concern. I don't know. We may have to pause completely. We may not cut at all this year. He could fuck us over if he says that. So we'll obviously watch the conference, and we'll see what he says and does. But you guys will know because you'll be watching the markets, and they're going to be moving up and down as he speaks.
Frank says last time dollar was thrashed in 2017, Bitcoin had a 10x run. That is correct. That was Bitcoin going from $1,000 to $10,000 and ultimately $19,000 there in 2017. Oh, the good old days. And we got Rima. Well, actually, the last two times the DXY, the dollar, dropped below this current level, 96K-ish Bitcoin went crazy. A man can dream right. Yeah, we talked about a couple people posting about what happens historically with the weaker dollar and how it can potentially help Bitcoin and risk on assets if the other global macros, the other things are going on, such as QE, interest rate cuts, et cetera, et cetera. So we are leaning towards that. This is kind of what we've been talking about now. It seems like for an eternity, but really it's been like a year and a half. We have been correct in the assumption that the Fed was going to cut rates when even Polymarket said they were not. And we have been correct in QT was going to end. That ended in December. And QE light has begun. So we need to see full-on QE. We need to see the Clarity Act passed. We need to see tax refunds, which are already done because the big beautiful bill is coming. And Trump did just double down on his $2,000 tariff tax or tax refund or whatever you want to call it, stimulus check, as long as the Supreme Court rules in his favor. So if the Supreme Court rules that those were illegal, there's going to be a ton of FUD, and we're going to have to figure out how to pay back $400 billion. But if the Supreme Court rules in Trump's favor, guess what? Our trade deficit is still going to remain the lowest since 2009. You're going to get a $2,000 check after a big refund check, and you're going to have QE all starting at the same time, and you're all going to become filthy fucking rich. So I don't know. If you know somebody in the Supreme Court, tell them that they're idiots and not to rule against these tariffs because every other country uses it for us. Why shouldn't we try to fix our national debt, our trade deficit, and our citizens getting checks if we have the ability to do so. So hopefully those tariffs stand.
I mean, if Trump gets his way, we're going to have an absolute melt up in the markets by November of this year when the midterm elections come by. So, he's aiming to make all of that happen. He's doing everything he can. Obviously, there are checks and balances in the American system, and so the Supreme Court could throw a monkey wrench into it, the Fed. I mean, Congress could somehow try to F him over. We're talking, the Dems are talking about shutting down the government over funding ICE, which is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard, because apparently ICE is already funded for like 10 years. This is just like cherry on the top.
Who remembers defund the police campaigns that we all thought was idiotic? Well, now Ilhan Omar just had a press conference yesterday, and now their new rant is defund ICE. That's the new thing, just to let you know. And ICE, I think, has been around for like 22 years now, and who was in power when that all came to fruition? Democrats. We talked about this with how much Clinton deported, how much Obama deported. Biden was the vice president for Obama, but now that Trump's doing it, defund ICE is the new mantra.
Yeah. A country needs borders. It needs an immigration system that keeps out illegal people and dangerous people. It needs an immigration system that allows those who are legit, hardworking folks an opportunity to come in and pay into the system and pay taxes and not be a big mooch off everything. We need that too. But the good news is average everyday Americans agree with us. I don't know if the Democrats decide to shut down the government over this. I feel like that was a bit of a knee-jerk reaction to the tragic death of that guy, who was, by the way, carrying a gun into the fray of a protest.
Some weird stuff has just come out about that from his parents, actually. So if you guys want to get into the weeds, or not that it really matters, I already know you're a loony if you're out there doing that. But information came out, and what do you know? He was kind of a loony. His very own parents said, hey, he stepped away from his job a few weeks ago. He started acting bizarre, told his parents he was going to the protest. His parents warned him, hey, if you want to go and have a sign, cool, but don't interfere with anything. Don't bring your firearm. Don't do this. Don't do that. And he pretty much did all those things. And also there was a text message leak of some weird stuff. So if you care about it, or if you want the entertainment, go and do that. But he was not a normal individual, and his own parents kind of threw him under the bus for his mental illness that has been going on the past few weeks. They literally AI altered his photo of him in nursing, talked about how he was a nurse, talked about all this stuff. A couple days later, none of that is even true anymore, and he's been spiraling out of control. Pretty wild to see, but again, it doesn't matter because it's all about first impression. 90% of people on that side of the aisle saw the first impression, saw the headline, saw the altered photos. That's what they're going to run with, not the 3 day later updated information, updated photos, and his own parents kind of throwing him under the bus. So pretty crazy situation there. And hopefully it was a knee-jerk reaction. Let's see what Polymarket is saying. Slightly coming down. We are alive, and it was 80 to 79% chance of a government shutdown by January 31st. It has come down to as low as 73% and currently sitting at 76%. But remember, right before this weekend chaos, there was only a 9% chance of a government shutdown. So I do think it's a little knee-jerk reaction. That is a massive explosion. Will the Dems die on the hill of yet another, martyr that isn't a great human being?
I don't think so. I think most likely we get the left wing, led by Ilhan Omar, absolute scammer, by the way. She needs to be deported and imprisoned for defrauding investors through her wine scam. By the way, you want to get into the weeds, you get into the weeds on the wine scam from Ilhan Omar. But in any event, it's going to be the left wing of the party saying, defund ICE, blah, 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 shut down the government. And then the moderates who are, concerned about being reelected in the next, November or whatever. Maybe they're in a moderate, purple state or purple district, as it were. They're not going to want to shut down the government over this. And so you only need like 5 Democrats to come across the aisle and vote the Republicans to keep the government open. So, I think it's going to be all working out just fine. And even if it does get shut down, my guess is that gets wrapped up pretty quick. The government shutdowns always get resolved. The problem is just, interim market impact. It sucks. And hopefully I don't miss my flight to Mexico. I'm going down there soon. So that would be the only thing. But otherwise, I think we're going to be fine. I think we're absolutely going to be fine. And I think, by the way, Frank, I want to give a shout out. Crypto legislation needs to be passed before the midterm elections. If Dem wins, I think we forget. Yeah, for sure.
Hopefully this quarter. Hopefully in the next 2 months.
Yeah.
This quarter would be ideal, because if you get it past this quarter, then you have clarity as QE ramps up, as a new Fed chair comes into place, as tax refund checks go out, as stimulus checks go out. You want that clarity, that regulatory clarity, as the market is getting liquidity. You don't want to be chasing that liquidity later in the year. So ideally, Charles Hoskinson said it best himself, needs to happen in Q1 of 2026. It was supposed to happen in January, but obviously they have other focus points due to things that have been going on globally and things that have been going on here at home with the illegal immigrants, immigration, and ICE. So that got kind of postponed. Only a few days left. I'm sure it doesn't happen in January, but by March 31st, that would be great to see.
Yeah, we need the lobbyists and Coinbase and the banking execs to come together on this, and Donald Trump to strong arm everyone and say get a deal done. Apparently, it's getting closer and closer. I think it was delayed because of this BS with ICE, but I think look, we're on a 24-hour news cycle. The ICE shit, my guess is because Trump already spoke with Tim Walz yesterday. National Guard is apparently coming in to quell some of the protests. It seems like kind of we're getting a lid on this now, which is great. And we can move on to the next news cycle, hopefully not involving the death of any Americans. So, and the passage, by the way, of the Clarity Act. We need it. So what do we got here going on Pulse Chain?
Yeah, Pulse Chain, 2 days in a row, slightly green. PLS up 0.6%, PulseX up 3%, Inc up 1%, and Hex up 1.2%. Slowly but surely off the lows. Now, not great performance, but you got to start somewhere, right? And I guess this gets into our last news piece with our new partnership on Crypto Paradise. You ready to talk about that?
Yeah, why don't you pull that up on X so people can kind of follow along here. But, big news today, guys. We are joining forces with a launchpad called Pools Finance. They've been around since 2020. We are actually, funny enough, one of their earliest investors into Pools back in 2020 into their pre-sale. We are one of their earliest advisors as well. We advised them as they helped launch their coin, 5 years ago. They've done incredibly well over the years, grown a community, grown their launchpad. Of course, the last 6 months has been challenging for really any launchpad. And I think the founders were kind of looking to turn a new leaf. And so they reached out to us, I don't know, this was 3-4 weeks ago, and inquired whether we were interested in kind of helping to take Pools forward into its next phase in a leadership capacity. And we thought about it. I thought, this is a great opportunity. Pools platform itself is still a very powerful piece of technology. It allows users to invest into refundable IDOs, basically pre-sale opportunity right before a project launches. You can invest into their token sale, their public sale round, but you have the option to get a refund if things turn out terribly when the token actually launches. So it's a very powerful platform. We said, let's do it. Let's get involved. Let's help Pools grow into its next phase. And so we are now going to be taking an active role in growing the community of Pools, growing the token, market cap, bringing on more investors, helping source great IDOs, and just really getting in the trenches with their team there. So super excited for this. I think great for Crypto Paradise, great for Pools as well, which is going to be making a big comeback here. So excited for the whole thing, and we'll be covering Pools regularly now on the stream. Projects that are launching on Pools, we'll be covering them and helping amplify their messaging. And there's a big IDO actually coming on Pools here in the next week or two that we've been working on in the background. So Pools is back. For those who thought it was dead and done, it is not, and we are going to be help taking it forward into the next phase.
Yeah, and Pools has a massive following here. You can see because when pre-sales were a thing, it's been quite a few years, they were absolutely killing it. So we're anticipating that market condition comes back, and now we'll be even better positioned at Crypto Paradise to bring value to you guys, but also bring value to other things. Now, many of you are probably seeing this like, oh, another token. Hey, you can get the token or not. We're in a leadership role of Pools. If you want to get in the last round of the pre-sales for Pools, you're going to need the token. But this also benefits a lot of the Crypto DAO members and the Surf token holders and Pulse Chain. Because why? If Pools does make a comeback, if Pools does have revenue, it's going to be like anything else that we do. A percentage of that revenue is going to find its way on a bridge over to Pulse Chain to be deployed into Surf, PLSX, and other Pulse Chain assets. So by rooting for Pools, which is on BNB Chain, you are looking at an outlet for growth and opportunities for Crypto Paradise members and community members, but also if they have success, you have success from your Surf holdings, because we will buy and burn more Surf, buy and add LP to more Surf LP pairs, and bridge more funds over to Pulse Chain as well. So you kind of talked about the benefits for Pools, for the PoolX, and for the Crypto Paradise community. I want to reiterate how this could potentially be massively beneficial for Pulse Chain launches, and of course, that Surf token.
Yeah, the other thing I'll add as well, this I think adds value to the crypto paradise DAO, because that group, it's a private whale group, as you guys know. You hold 200,000 surf, you can get access to it. That group is really aimed at investing in early stage projects into like the seed round, for example. And now we have this direct pipeline projects, we can invest into the seed round, and then it can go on to pools and perhaps other launch pads for the public round, which will help strengthen the launch. And in fact, we have a project now coming up that's going to be going live on pools with a great opportunity in the seed round for those who are interested in, yes, taking a little bit more risk, not going to be refundable in the seed round, of course, but, 2, maybe 3x lower price, lower valuation into that seed round. So, kind of best of both worlds, something for everybody. If you like taking a little bit more risk, more upside, you got the seed round stuff you can get in the Crypto Paradise DAO. If you want to get involved with the refundable IDOs, getting in, right before launch with the option to get a refund, you can get into the pools community, stake your pools, and invest that way. So something for everyone. Excited for this. We're going to be pushing it hard. And shout out, by the way, to the existing pools community, existing pools team. Andre, he's been helping me in a tremendous way, onboarding clients and reviving the brand as a whole. So shout out to Andre. Hopefully you're watching the stream, bud. And we got a lot of exciting stuff coming for pools.
There you go. How it goes full circle. We were one of the early investors in pools, made a lot of money there. They were killing it in the pre-sale, and the market conditions have not been favorable there. But now it's gone full circle to where we have a, kind of ownership team right now within pools that can then benefit not only pools, benefit the Surf DAO members, benefit Pulse Chain, Surf, and everything else. Now all we need is Ethereum to go above 5,000, alt season to come back, and Crypto Paradise will be the place of giveaways, the place of pre-sale access, the place of onboarding liquidity to Pulse Chain, and will be loved and adored by all, while the community members get filthy rich. What do you think about that?
Hey, man, that's the goal. That's the absolute goal. So we need the market to cooperate, obviously. But I think with this partnership and this sort of integration, Crypto Paradise and pools, we're covering a lot of bases, a lot of opportunities now for both communities, and very much looking forward to seeing where this can go. And yeah, it's really cool coming full circle with it too, actually, because I want to give a shout out to Guy and Liam, who are the original founders of pools. We were in the trenches with them, helping launch their token 5 years ago. A lot of fond memories helping those guys out. I actually met them in real life. They're really nice guys. They're awesome guys. They're ready to turn a new leaf. I mean, they've been doing this for 5 years. Been, I'm sure, a lot of challenges and headaches coming along with, having a launch pad through, we've been in, 3 or 4 year bear market, essentially, for altcoins. Not an easy thing to continue on. I guess we're a little bit crazy here at Crypto Paradise. We're just like, F it. I don't care. Bear market, bull market. We're going to keep pushing forward in crypto. And so when those guys approach us with this kind of opportunity, we say, you know what, let's go for it. Let's help this community out. Let's help pools out. I think it can be a big win-win. But shout out to Guy and Liam. Pretty cool to see it go full circle.
I think that's really all the news pieces we want to talk about. We're going to keep following the silver and gold price. We're going to keep following the stock prices and see how it impacts Bitcoin and Ethereum, which will lead the way for crypto. And again, I think the Fed meeting here is happening in a few hours, so we'll see what they have to say. 99% chance of no cuts, but maybe that doesn't spook the market because it's priced in. It's more about, is he going to be hawkish or is he going to be dovish? Or is my crazy prediction that I had a month or two ago of another fourth interest rate cut actually become a reality and really surprise people to the upside? That would be pretty crazy. There is headwinds that Powell will lean on, but maybe he'll see some of the inflation data that we see and he'll say, you know what? The trend is your friend. Let's do another 0.25% basis point cut. Surprise the markets. That would be insane. And Trump would have one of those miraculous posts on Truth Social. He's like, you know what? Powell's not too bad. I think he's going to come down to Mar-a-Lago this weekend. I love that guy.
Sure, if we get a cut, I mean, yeah, absolutely. You see how Trump's a funny
He's a forgiver.
dude.
Trump is a forgiver. When deals are made and you come to his side of the aisle, he'll welcome you with open arms, give you a hug, pat you on the back, and bring you into the circle. That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. I like that. I like that about him. I think, look, if worst case scenario today, we don't get a cut. We get a very hawkish press conference. Markets nukes.
Oh.
Yeah, that obviously, look, I don't think that's going to happen, by the way. I think we get a dovish press conference with no cut. and also expect the unexpected. Don't play with leverage today. That's just dumb because I think we get a lot of volatility no matter what. But even worst case scenario, Trump has that card in his back pocket. All right, Powell, you were a failed Fed president, Fed chairman. Hated everything you did, but I don't care because I'm nominating the next guy today, and that guy is whomever. We got 3 or 4 very bullish and dovish options there with Rick Ryder, Kevin Hassett. There's other guys that I think are going to do great in that role. We're looking forward to the next Fed chairman, Mr. So-and-so. He's going to lead the economy and he's going to lead the Fed forward into a glorious age of, everyone getting rich forever. So Trump can do that. Literally, he has the option to make that announcement as early. He could do it this afternoon. Emergency press conference. Everyone in the Oval Office.
Too late,
Powell
again.
Here's the new guy coming in. He could do that. I'm not saying he will, but he could, and he probably should if we do get worst case scenario. But I don't think that's going to happen.
We got Dovakin in the house saying catching the butt end of the stream, going to have to watch it back. Yeah, you should do that. And talking about butt end, maybe you need to go buy butt coin or fart coin and spur on the meme cycle once again.
There you go. Yeah, we need 5 or 6, I think, like sustained runners. Not just like one that sucks up a bunch of liquidity, like Penguin, for example, over the weekend, and then it's probably correcting as insiders are cashing out. We don't just need one. We need like a handful. It needs to be popping up and all over the feed, and you're getting rich. This guy's getting rich. That guy's getting rich. That's how meme season comes back. That's how alt season comes back. I do think the next alt season is going to be led by memes. Memes aren't going anywhere. It's the quickest way for people to get rich, even though it's a lot of risk and most people get wrecked doing it. Memes are going to make a comeback. You're going to see green candles. We need sustained runners in the trenches. It's all going to happen. I don't know when it's going to happen. We got to get a few things right here. A little bit of luck. No government shutdown. A dovish Fed. No Supreme Court overturning the tariffs. We got to get that ruled in Trump's favor. We've had a lot of bad luck, I would say, recently, with some headwinds popping out of the blue. Greenland out of nowhere. Fucking guy gets killed by ice popping up out of nowhere. All this random fun. Can't we get some good luck breaking our way every so often? I think we're due for it.
I would agree. I'm just scrolling Twitter, see if there's any final news or charts we want to look at. We looked at Bitcoin, we looked at Ethereum, we looked at S&P 500, looked at NASDAQ, as well as talked about the new Crypto Paradise and Pools partnership that should bring in some good revenue, great opportunities, surf buy and burns, liquidity adding to Pulse Chain, and the list goes on. We have seen surf up about 20% off the lows, which is good to see. Emit still at $1.80 amidst all the FUD over on Pulse Chain, and Pulse Chain having 2 green days in a row. It isn't great if you zoom out and look at the chart, but you got to start somewhere. Have patience, my friends. Ethereum above 5,000 is when the fun begins.
Yeah, I'm excited for, let's say, 2026. We'll see Q1 how it turns out. I think Q2 should be good. Q3 should be explosive when we see all the Trump policies fully come to fruition and, money entering the economy again, rate cuts, new Fed chairman will be installed by May. So, yeah, looking forward to 26. I do think we get $5,000 ETH at some point here. We do get an alt season here. I do think money flows into Pulse Chain. It hasn't been easy. But, and by the way, pre-sales are going to make a great comeback too. We got some cool stuff cooking over at Pools, man. We really do. We got a good project going to be launching over there. I think the announcement's coming out as soon as tomorrow. A really solid project that I really, really like. That has a great valuation, very good token economics, good traction, a high level of support in the BNB community. So, pretty bullish things. And, get into Pools. Get yourself a bag. 250 pools is all you need, by the way. A very small amount if you want to get into the rounds for for your refundable IDO. Yeah. Launches does great. Keep your tokens. Shits the bed. Get a refund.
Yeah, that's pretty good. It's something that we hated before because of that, but it's pretty sweet for those who own pools. The other thing too is beyond 2026, what happens with crypto assets, I think, is largely dependent on what happens in the elections in November. If Democrats get back in power, we know they hate crypto, we know they hate progress, and we know they like spending a ton of money. So I don't know. Does a super cycle end with the 5-year cycle? That's kind of what we've been looking at anyways. But November will be a big turning point for what happens, depending on the elections. If the Democrats get back the House or the Senate or any of the above, it is not good for crypto, and there will at least be some short-term volatility to the downside for crypto and crypto-related companies due to the fear of regulatory guidance that those guys would want to push onto crypto itself. That's another reason why the Clarity Act getting done as soon as possible is very important, as it is harder to undo those things once they're in place, and I don't think they'll have the power to do that, but they definitely would have the power to slow down or to deny that if they win here in November.
We cannot let that happen. If anyone is in the States and you hold crypto,
or any financial asset, really, I mean,
or any financial asset, but especially crypto, because they weren't trying to kill the stock market, right? But I mean, they were trying to overregulate it. But you had to vote Republican. I've registered Republican. I will be voting Republican, straight party line from here on out. That's it. I'm done with the Democratic Party forever. They lost my trust. They've gone insane. The Republicans are the only way to go. So you got to get registered. You got to vote. I know we're talking about an election that's like 8 months away, so probably not, or even longer, like 11 months, 10 months, whatever. So probably a little premature. But anyway, don't vote Dem. They're insane. Shout out to NJ Dub here. We actually have had some runners in the trenches, apparently. We got Copper Inu, Claude, went parabolic recently. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't have the time to be in the meme coin trenches. And that's a very difficult game to play because how many, launches on Pump Fund happen every day? Like 10,000 and then like 2 go on an insane run. So, not great odds. But if you can somehow get in the ones that are like doing super well, you can make a shit ton of money. But I think the more important part is it starts to re-inspire confidence and greed and risk-on mentality from the rest of the market. And they start getting out of stables, moving into crypto, investing in maybe pre-sales, new projects, memes, whatever the case may be. So I'm very happy to see the runners. I don't recommend spending 18 hours a day hunting in the pump fund trenches. You're probably not going to win that game unless you're a professional. So stick, find what you're great at, get in your lane and stick to it. We've been very successful in pre-sales. And so, when Pool's opportunity came around, felt like a no-brainer. Not to mention with their system and the refundable IDOs, it's almost no risk to invest in these things. Now, you think about it, you do have a finite window in which to actually either claim your tokens and truly invest in the project, or opt for a refund. So you need to kind of be paying attention in that 12 or 24-hour refund window. But outside of that, I mean, it's pretty much a no-brainer in my opinion. So and then our aim is going to have to be to find great projects that actually do well, because the point is not to just invest and it sucks and get a refund. The point is to invest and it does a 5 or 10x, like the good old days. So our job is to hunt for those projects, help them launch, help them do well. Looking forward to all that. We got some big announcements coming on that front, which will be shared in the Pools channels, the Crypto Paradise channels, and looking forward to seeing how that all plays out. So, all right, any final thoughts before we wrap up today here, Nick?
I think that's it. I'll be watching intently what the Fed has to say and what they do, and let's see how the markets react and see if Bitcoin and Ethereum are poised to be the biggest catch-up trade in the history of, I don't even know when, I'm just making that up, but this is going to be a very large catch-up trade. Risk-to-reward ratios, I think, are majorly on the side of Bitcoin and Ethereum here in comparison to traditional markets, real estate markets, and, of course, precious metals. That is the play, my friends. Talking about rotating out of crypto now into silver at $100 is when one of our, our resident bear was wanting to do the full rotation. Bitcoin was 88,000, 85,000. Silver was $95, $96. So far, he is winning, but not by much, and that is with the separation of Bitcoin and ETH performance literally at the lows for the past 12 months right here on Bitcoin versus silver. I don't know about you, but that looks like selling the low out on that trade. You win in the short term, but in the mid and long term, you would have wished you held Bitcoin the entire time.
You almost never, let me put it this way. You always regret selling your Bitcoin. I don't know anyone who sold their Bitcoin and looked back 10 years and been like, yeah, I'm so glad I sold that Bitcoin. Who's ever said that? Nobody. So hold your Bitcoin. If you're curious as to what's going to happen with silver, study the Hunt brothers. They lost $1 billion investing into silver, trying to cause a run-up, and then the producers just made more silver, just dug more of it out of the ground because it's not a finite supply. So, that's how this story is going to end, I think, with silver. There will be a correction. We'll see if it flows into Bitcoin. But, yeah, man, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling positive about 2026 as always. Excited about the pools thing. Maybe you have a final thought here on this.
That's it. We were just talking about Bitcoin and silver, so I wanted to show the chart that we were talking about for those who missed it. And that's kind of where we are. I mean, historically, the low is near for Bitcoin versus silver, and the time for rotation is coming very soon. We've seen the rotations happen on gold in the past month, in the past 3 months, in the past decade, and I think it happens once again.
I will leave you guys with this final thought. We know the dollar is shitting the bed. But the last time the dollar shit the bed this much, Bitcoin went an absolute tear. And apparently in 2017 this happened. And Bitcoin went from $1,000 to $20,000. So is Bitcoin now going to go from 90,000 to 2 million? Another 20x? Another 20x? Is that possible, Nick? A 20x on Bitcoin.
Let's just get $244,000 Bitcoin, so we have $22,000 ETH, and our altcoins have absolutely surged. PTGC is the first $1 billion runner on Pulse Chain. Surf Token is a $100 million asset. And wow, all the believers in Crypto Paradise are getting massive giveaways, free vacations, and have massive bags of crypto.
That is the dream. That is the goal. We are going to help make it happen. The market's going to have to cooperate at some point. But 20x on Bitcoin, definitely possible. Not in 2 years, not in 5, maybe not even in 10 years. I still think 10 years we get $1 million Bitcoin. Right? That's very well within the cards. But back when Bitcoin was $1,000, the market cap was very tiny. It was a nascent early asset class. You could run it up to $20,000 in a year, and that was possible then. It really isn't possible now, but if you want to get those insane gains, I guess you got to get in the trenches.
That's all I got today. So the biggest news today was Crypto Paradise working with pools. So the future of pre-sales, when they happen, it's going to be bright for you. And when they're bright for you, that means Crypto Paradise gets more revenue, which is used to full port it over into Surf Token, into Pulse Chain, into other assets that we talk about here on the show.
Absolutely excited for that. We will have more news, analysis, announcements coming here throughout the rest of the week. And until tomorrow, guys, we will see you guys on the beach.